What's up, guys? Lance the Obscure Movie Guy coming to you once again from SRL, Sandro Racing League F1 2022 here on the PlayStation platforms, aka KAMIKAZE-FOX. And we are getting ready, set to do round 8 here at Circuit de Catalunya, Barcelona. Round 8 here at Spain, coming off of a bye week. We were off last week, but prior to that, we raced round 7 at Zandvoort, which was a truly interesting race. We're going to recap that. Logan Arand at Zandvoort picked up his 6th pole position of the season. However, there was a desync issue, and him and a few other drivers got disconnected early on. So with Logan Arand disconnecting about halfway through the race, that handed the lead over to Tim Ventic, and Tim Ventic would go on to take his first win of the season and close in on the championship points gap. Oleski would finish in second with his 5th podium finish of the season, and Cameron Weston Edwards, long-awaited podium finish for him, snapping a podiumless streak, I should say, that's gone on for a number of seasons at this point. Also, not to mention Tim Ventic. That was Ventic's first win since June of 2020 when he won the championship. Jensen Randall making his SRL comeback, finished 4th. Jesper Lempinen was 5th. Max Mulder had an up-and-down day, but managed to salvage a 6th-place finish, while Robin Hertestegen finished in 7th. Nick Van Gelder was battling for 4th all the way up until the final corner of the race, where he lost it, trying to battle Max Mulder. Ultimately, Nick would get the 8th-place finish. And then 9th and 10th, actually, I should say 9th through 13th were all DNFs. That was Jurgen Marusic making his Season 8 debut. Brian Power had a DNF. Dion Stahl with his 2nd DNF in a row, followed by Luke Smith with his 2nd DNF in a row. I'm sorry, 2nd DNF of the season. Brian Power and Dion Stahl both had back-to-back DNFs. Jeremy Pope was credited with 13th. Also his 2nd DNF of the season. And here's where it got crazy. Logan Arand, Vincenzo Torri, and Nicolo Falzaresi all got credited with disconnects, as there was a problem with the lobby. So they were credited with disconnects. And then Sandro Dulius, who qualified but did not start, as he was disconnected before the race ever even started. So the 25% rule was in effect, where you would need 25% of the lobby to have desync issues before the league would do a restart. We were one driver short of that stat. Therefore, those guys were credited with disconnects, and Sandro with a did not start, and it certainly shook up the point standings. So we've got some major breakaways here. The top 3 in points is Logan Arand with 112, followed by Oleski at 103 and Tim Ventic at 102. That's Group 1 of 3 drivers, followed by Group 2 of 3 drivers, which would be Vincenzo Torri, Sandro Dulius, and Max Mulder. Vincenzo has 55 points to his credit. Sandro and Max both have 50 points apiece. And then we've got another breakaway further down the points list. This is going to be 4 drivers. This is all contending for the top 10. Nicolo Falzaresi and Luke Smith both have 31 points apiece. Christian Dorman with 28 points. And then Dion Stahl with 26 points. So you can see just how tight the points battles are in what is essentially tiers of points. Top tier being the first 3 drivers, the second tier being the mid-pack, and the third tier being the guys that are still fighting to stay in the top 10 in points. So waiting for a couple more drivers to join in for round 8 here at Circuit de Catalunya, Barcelona. Sandro Dulius will be in the Ferrari, Jesper Lempinen and Oleski both in the AlphaTauris, Tim Ventic in the Haas with Logan Arand, Cameron Weston Edwards back for another round in the McLaren, Vincenzo Torri is going to be in the Alfa Romeo, and Senna Hayware is back from serving his 1 race ban in the Aston Martin, Robin Hertestegen in the other McLaren, Christian Dorman coming back in the Williams along with Brian Power. Max Mulder will be in the Mercedes AMG Petronas, Nick Van Gelder in the Red Bull, Ivan Brito in the Aston Martin, Dion Stahl, of course, will be in the other Ferrari, along with Nicolo Falzaresi in the other Alfa Romeo. And then you have me spectating and commentating today. Racing Champion TV is already rooting for Vincenzo Torri. He's had a couple of podium finishes so far this year. We've also got Max Mulder and Nicolo Falzarezzi serving qualifying bans this race for some incidences in round 7 at Zandvoort. And that might be a good thing for Max Mulder. Max has struggled. He struggled last week, and he struggled at the Circuit of Americas in qualifying. Managed to save his race last week, finishing 6th. So waiting for a couple more drivers to join. And it looks like we're getting ready to start as the countdown has begun. We're going to do a 18-minute short qualifying session followed by a 50% race, which will be 33 laps today here at Spain. So Spain, always, you know, in real life, Spain is a nice track. It doesn't provide much action as far as Formula One is concerned, but it is a very good track. It's one of my favorite tracks to drive on. And I can tell you it's a personal favorite of Sandro. Sandro always seems to finish well here. Whippo Film here saying España. Yes, that is the Spanish name. The Spanish name for Spain, España. It's about the only thing I know how to say in Spanish. So we head into round 8. Logan Aron has been your qualifying master so far this year. 6 pole positions to his credit. Let's see if he can make it number 7. In fact, he's the only driver, the only other driver to actually get a pole position this year was back at round 5. And that was Imola when Nicolo Falzarezzi was able to snatch a pole position away. And it looks like the rain has shown its ugly face, the great equalizer, as we like to call it. We'll get some lap data up. We'll get the track map up. And I hear some cars starting up. I see them leaving the pit lane. Looks like that's Brian Power. So it looks like Brian Power was the first car to leave. Alright, so Brian Power's first car out on track. He's on the intermediates. So is Oleski, Christian Dorman, Robin Herdersteigen. So it looks like intermediates is going to be the first. Oh, it says Fly High 879 215 is joined. That's Jeremy Pope. He'll make driver number 17. He should be in the Alpine if it lets him pick it. And you see right there, Brian Power already having issues at the top of the hill, coming down the short back chute. See how wet it is. So coming out of the final corner, we'll hop on board with Brian Power, see what kind of time he can set as he heads down the front straightaway for the first time in this 18-minute short qualifying session. Obviously no DRS in the wet weather conditions as he heads down into turn 1. Tiptoeing it through 1 and 2, gets a little bit of curving. You see him trying to short shift the gearbox, keep those revs low to give himself a little bit more traction. Rear end almost washes out on him there. Catching a little bit of curve coming up the hill. Gingerly getting back on throttle. And we've already got yellow flags flying in sector 2 and 3. A couple of quick on-offs, I would take it. down on this very tricky left-right interchange here as he heads up the hill. And you get this very hard 90-degree corner. You've got a car coming back on track. He almost loses the back end again. Looks like that was one of the AlphaTauris that just drove by. Caution flag sector 2. That is for that AlphaTauri. It looks like that car is parked. It is now going again on the track map. You can see just how much Brian Power here is struggling with these wet weather conditions. Perhaps the intermediates are not the tire to go with. Maybe full wets will come into play. Getting a little too much curb, gets the power back down and comes down the front straightaway. First time of the day, 1:30, and then that's immediately going to be crushed by Oleski with a 1:27.484. So good effort by Brian Power. Oleski is your provisional pole sitter, but only the second driver to set a time. Pick up Robin Herderstagen as he comes out of the final corner. And down the front straightaway, we'll see what kind of time he can set. He's going to come across the line 1:28.476. Tim Bentic to the top of the charts with a 1:27.033. He's 0.4 quicker than Oleski. See Cameron Weston Edwards with a 1:28.805 as he comes across the line. Pick up Ivan Burrito coming out of the chicane and down onto the front straightaway. And he was 1:39.808. Will pick up his teammate Senna Haywire as he comes down the front straightaway. And Senna's going 1:29.197. Good qualifying effort by him so far. Still early going, but pick up Jesper Lempinen here. Lempinen's got a pole position to his credit. Whoa, he's way off track. So that's going to invalidate that lap time. Let's pick up the Drift King himself. Let's pick up Nick Van Gelder. And Nick is behind one of the McLarens here. I'm not sure if he's getting impeded or not. That was a little tight there. Tim Bentic just crossed the line with the fastest lap, 1:26.373. So he goes 0.7 quicker than his previous time. See Nick struggling a little bit coming out of the final corner, but he goes 1:31.804. That's good enough for 7th. I know Nick can go faster. We'll pick up Sandro Dulius, who's yet to set a time here. Caution flags flying in sectors 1, 2, and 3. Oh, and you can see just how tight it is under those intermediates. The front end just does not want to turn. Getting a lot of understeer heading into these corners. Oh, Sandro, looks like that Williams got out of the way. No issues there. Sandro looks like this is going to put him 1:27.593, good enough for third quickest so far. And we have yet to see a time posted by Logan Arond. And Senna Haywire looks like he has possibly binned it. So his time's going to be locked in at a 1:29.197. And we are very quickly going to go down to Max Mulder, who's currently on an out lap. And Max loses the back end, slides it around, and perhaps Max realizes that he's not supposed to set a time. so even though Max is technically on a timed lap, if he dives into the pits this time before setting a time, and he is going to cut the chicane, so that is going to invalidate his lap time. It looks like what he's trying to do. And for some reason, he is on soft tires. So Max clearly missing the mark with what is happening here. Not paying attention to the finer details. We'll pick up Jesper Lempinen on an out lap. The other AlphaTauri. He's yet to set a time as well. Actually, I have a lot of drivers that have yet to set times. You can see on the chart there, 10th all the way down to 17th, no time set. That's Jeremy Pope, Dion Stahl, Christian Dorman, Vincenzo Torri. Max Mulder technically has a qualifying ban, so he better not set a lap time. Jesper Lempinen, we're watching him on the out lap. Logan Aron and Nicolo Falzaresi. All with no time set, but we're going to ride along with Jesper Lempinen as he's getting ready to come across the line. See what he can do as he heads down the front straightaway, heading into turn 1. Caution flags fly sector 2 and 3. Another quick on-off. And even under wet conditions, Jesper using a lot of that outside track to try and change the trajectory and the arc of the car going into the corner. Ooh, gets a little twitchy there. And with the rain, it's going to be slow and steady. Wins the race. Caution flag flies in sector 3. It looks like that might be... I don't know what car that is. One of the Alpines, I guess. That might be Jeremy Pope coming down the front straightaway. Jesper to the top of the hill, down the short chute here, the back stretch. Into the reconfigured here left-hander. Purple in sector 2, so interesting lap time being put up here by Jesper. Can he put it together? Provisional pole is 1:26.373, set by Tim Ventic, and it looks like Sandro Dolius continued on his flyer after we had left him. He had qualified third, and he's gone 1:26.881. As I said before, this is one of Sandro's favorite tracks, and Jesper Lempinen goes 1:27.304, good enough for fourth. And it looks like Nicolo Falzaresi is finally on an out lap, so we're going to pick him up. The only other driver this season to get a pole position. Oh, and he's going to dive into the pits. Not happy with the setup, I guess. Pick up Nick Van Gelder. Looks like Nick has improved his time from the 1:31s to the 1:28 flat, and is now good enough for 5th quickest. And looks like he's on a... he's going to start a flyer. Ooh, big twitches there. We know Nick likes a loose race car. And got 6 minutes left to play in the session, and it looks like that the rain is starting to dissipate a little bit. This may be why we haven't seen Logan Aron or Nicolo or some of these other drivers set a time. Logan trying to play the long game, maybe see if this track dries out a little bit as the rain is starting to dissipate. The track is still very wet though. So while we're watching Nick, Oleski has gone 1:26.504. That's good enough for 2nd quickest as he knocks Sandro Dolius down into 3rd. little twitchy there, trying to get the power down, back onto the front straightaway. He's going to come down. 126-105. Nick Van Gelder, provisional pole sitter with less than 5 minutes to play in the session. And the track is starting to heat up and speed up as the clock winds down. Max Mulder has retired from the session. He's abiding by the qualifying ban. Sonny Haywire is now dropped to 9th quickest. Tim Ventic has dropped to 2nd. We see Ivan Brito has just gone 126.844. Good enough for 4th. Christian Dorman has gone 127.644. That is good enough for 7th so far, but 12th on down, no time set. We see Vincenzo Torri is now out on track. Ooh, still very twitchy here in the wet conditions, but the rain has ceased to exist here. It's not falling from the sky anymore. And a little bit of drip and drizzle here on the camera as we ride on board with them through the left-right exchange. Heads to the top of the hill. You can see how twitchy it is for Vincenzo. And Oleski is on an out lap. Still no sign from Logan Aron, and it looks like Logan may make this a one-shot effort as the time clicks down. Be 3 minutes left to play in the session here. And Vincenzo's going to abandon the lap, dives into the pits. And pick up Brian Power. He's lost his front wing, so he's had an on-off. Pick up Christian Dorman. Coming down to the left-right chicane at the bottom of the hill. Catches a little bit of curb. Ooh, up to the top of the hill. We got a car that's very slow here on the back straightaway. Looks like that was one of the Ferraris. Tim Ventic currently on an out lap. We'll pick him up in just a minute as he's going to make a effort to snatch back that pole position from Nick Van Gelder. 2-minute warning as this is winding down. Still no signs of Logan Aron. Caution flag flies, sector 1. Looks like that would have been one of the McLarens. Possibly Robin Herterstag, and he's out on an out lap. Here comes Christian Dorman, 126.589, good enough for 4th. Tim Ventic still out on intermediate tires, so it doesn't look like anybody's going to try slicks here. And Tim trying to put some heat into the intermediates. So despite the intermediates, granted they still work better under a colder temperature range or a cooler temperature range than the softs, but still need to get a little bit of heat into those tires. And Logan Aron is now on an out lap. Logan's going to make it a one-shot effort. And Logan is running the gamble. He's on super softs. Oleski's going fastest, 125.028. This is going to be interesting. Did anybody else put on... We've got a couple of drivers. We've got Jesper Lempinen, Cameron Wesson Edwards, Dion Stahl, and Logan Aron all on soft tires. Sandro's going fastest with a 124.252. Logan has got traffic in front of him, and he's going to be on soft tires. This is going to be messy. Going to ride along with Logan as he's going to make this just in time to start a hot lap. Time is up. Flyers will count. Sandro Dulia sitting on provisional pole here at one of his best tracks. Logan down into turn 1. Tiptoeing up here through turn 3. The sweeping right-hander puts a lot of stress on that left front. And he is catching this car in front. They're both on a flying lap. Logan is on the faster tire, and it looks like that Williams is going to get out of the way, abandons it. That was either Brian Power or Christian Dorman, and possibly Dorman. Dorman's time is locked in at a 1:26.589. Robin Herdeshagen's gone third quickest with a 1:25.234. Sandro drops the second. Oleski comes across the line, 1:23.863 to take provisional pole. We're still riding along with Logan Aron down the back straightaway. Logan is purple in sector 2. Track is clearing up, still a little slick. Here we see Vincenzo Torri with a 1:23.828 to the top of the charts. Logan's still got a couple of cars in front of him. Tim Ventic, 1:23 flat. It was 0.8 of a second quicker than Vincenzo. And here comes Logan Aron across the line. And it is going to be a 1:22.245. Logan Aron. There's a reason why they call him Epic the Animal, and it is because of flying laps just like that. That was an epic effort by Logan to snatch pole position. We wondered about it the whole time, if he was going to come out and put a lap in. The DRS is now enabled, but that is inconsequential at this point. Time is up. Logan Aron is your pole sitter once again, 7th time this season. And he will be starting alongside his teammate, Tim Ventic. It looks like Tim set that time on the intermediates. Cameron Western Edwards coming off of a 3rd place finish last week because of tire strategy. Does it again here in qualifying, finishes 3rd. A great qualifying effort by him. So unbelievable. Jesper Lempinen will be 3rd. And yes, you do see there, Tim Ventic sets that 1:23 flat on the intermediates, 0.8 of a second off. Makes you wonder what the time would have been if he had gone out on softs. Vincenzo Torri with a great effort as well on the intermediates, 5th. Nick Van Gelder, 6th. Oleski is 7th. Sandro Dulius, who had provisional pole with that 1:24.170 with 3 minutes to go, falls all the way to 8th. Robin Herdestegen is 9th. Christian Dorman is 10th. Ivan Brito, who started off great with the intermediates, drops to 11th. Center Haywire is 12th. And Brian Power, 13th. And Sandro had said in the live chat that it might dry up. I dried up at the very last minute. Unfortunately, Sandro couldn't capitalize on the dry track. But Logan Aron did. And here is Sam Brandt on the live chat. Yes, Logan Aron. The kind of guy you wait until there's 2 minutes left to go out, take pole, and then refuse to elaborate. That is one way to put it. Very Sebastian Vettel-like back in Vettel's heyday with Red Bull. Go out, make the lap, get the pole, call it a day. So we wait for the game to load. Looks like it's going to be sunny skies, so this should be a fast-paced race. And if it's anything like the end of qualifying, it'll surely be heating up to be another amazing race here at Circuit de Catalunya, Barcelona. And I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, but it's whatever. My Spanish is as good as my driving. So down the formation lap, Logan Aron with his 7th pole position of the season, followed by his teammate Tim Ventic, who is also 2nd in the points, actually 3rd in the points. He's 1 point behind Oleski. Cameron Weston Edwards, coming off of a great finish last week at Zandvoort, finishes 3rd, qualifies 3rd today, based off of tire strategy. Good on him. Jesper Lempinen in the AlphaTauri. He's starting in the 4th. Vincenzo Torri, who's got a couple of podium positions so far this year, looking to add to that total if he can, starting in the 5th spot. Nick Van Gelder looking to make up for his mishap last week where he finished 8th while he was battling for 4th. And Oleski, the other championship contender, and other AlphaTauri, starting in the 7th position. Sandro Dulius hopefully getting to start this race. He had a disconnect last week, didn't get to race. He was in the commentator booth with me for the second half of last week's race. We hopefully don't have that incident again. Robin Herderstagen in the other McLaren. Starting at 9th, Christian Dorman is 10th. And then the two Aston Martins, Ivan Brito and Senna Haywire. Haywire coming back after serving his one-race ban. Brian Power will be starting in 13th. Jeremy Pope, I don't believe, set a time. He's going to be starting on the hard tires in the 14th position. Dion Stahl is in 15th. Max Mulder had a qualifying ban. And so did Nicolo Falzarezzi. They both had qualifying bans. They'll be starting in the 16th and 17th position. We're going to see if we can get some tire info. Looks like Logan starting on the hard tires. And then everybody else on mediums up until 7th place where you get to Oleski. He's on the hards. And then you've got more medium runners. And then 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th all on the opposite tire strategy. So this should make for a very interesting race for sure. It'd be nice if I could get a camera angle from the front again, but I imagine the FIA will not allow you to use actual camera angles from real life, because that'd be some sort of copyright infringement. God, I hate this world. 5 red lights, lights are out, time to run what you brung their way to puff of smoke. And it's hard to see what the heck is going on because of all the high quality camera angles that we have, and it's a drag race down the front straightaway. So we head into turn 1. Looks like Tim Ventic had the inside line, and he's got the position over Logan, and they both spin. Oh my goodness, and around goes Vincenzo Torri. And this is Nicolo Falzarezzi, the two Haas's. We've got another car around. Looks like that was Max Mulder as well, and Cameron Weston Edwards is your leader. Followed by Jesper Lempinen. So Cameron Weston Edwards finds himself in an odd position. He's usually not out in front. Managed to make it through the melee. And, you know, gotta say, I'm not surprised. Tim Ventic, Logan Aron, both champions in their own right. Ventic is an SRL champion. Logan Aron is an IRS champion. He is an IRL champion. He is a Phoenix Motorsports Racing Simulators champion. It is no love lost between those two drivers. They don't necessarily dislike each other, but they certainly are not going to work together. Tim was going to try and take that spot no matter what. Logan was going to try and defend that spot no matter what. And that is what happens. And here we've got Ava online as well in the live chat, rooting for Nick, as he is currently running in the 3rd position after the incident in turn 1. And Cameron Weston Edwards has now stretched that lead out over Jesper Lempinen to more than a second, so he gets himself out of the DRS range. However, we've got Nick Van Gelder, and he is under attack by a train of cars. Behind him is Christian Dorman in the Williams, followed by Oleski in the AlphaTauri, and then Sandro Dulius has managed to work his way up into the 6th position. Ooh, and Sandro hard onto the brakes there. He should be coming around to lap 3, and that is going to open up the DRS possibilities for some of these guys as we ride along with Oleski as we go down the short chute. Nick ran a pretty interesting line coming out of that corner. He's a little bit wider than the rest of the cars, trying to arc it, put in as little steering input as possible. We've got a caution flag that flies in sector 2 and 3. Looks like that is one of the, possibly the Alpine of Jeremy Pope. Actually, that might have been Max Mulder. Max just got around Jeremy is what it was. So Jeremy did cause the yellow flag as we... Woo! And there goes Oleski around Christian Dorman for the 4th position. Tim Ventic just ran the fastest lap of this race at a 1:21.149. Ventic down in the 14th position. So Oleski gets by Christian Dorman. He's going to set his sights on Nick Van Gelder. We've got another yellow flag. Looks like this time it's going to be one of the Aston Martins. Looks like this is Ivan Brito, who has gone around at turn 3. And he gets his car going again. No harm, no foul. Now Nick is running in the 3rd spot, but he has closed the gap to Jesper Lempinen. He is now under a second, so he's going to have the DRS advantage of down the short back straightaway that we're on now and the long front straightaway. And Sector 2, once again, that's a quick on-off. Nope, that is one of the blue cars. That is Brian Power that's gone around. And Sector 1, looks like that is Jeremy Pope. And Jeremy has retired from the session. Unfortunate for him, the young American who is a master at sports car driving in Gran Turismo Sport, Gran Turismo 7, and Project Cars 2. Looks like he's still struggling to find his grips with the Formula 1 cars. Here comes Nick to the outside. Nick trying to do the switchback and go to the outside, crosses over to the inside. Big move there. Now they're now side by side as they come out of the corner and into turn 4. They're still side by side. Oleski does not want to give it up. I'm sorry, that's Jesper, and Jesper has gone around. And he gets going again. There might have been a little bit of contact between him and Nick. It was hard to say. They were both pinching each other pretty tight. It's now Oleski. I was getting my AlphaTauris mixed up, so now it's Oleski still trying to catch Nick. Nick running in the 2nd spot. All the while, Cameron Weston Edwards is out in front to the tune of 2 seconds. And Christian Dorman now finds himself up in the 4th position. He's bringing Sandro Dulius with him. Caution flag flies in Sector 2. Looks like that is Ivan Brito once again struggling. And Jesper Lempinen still falling through the ranks here. He's down to 9th. Oh, and he's going around again! Jesper's race is falling apart. He's possibly overheated those rear tires. Can't come to grips with it. And I know once the tires overheat in this game, it is extremely hard to bring that temperature back down. Was that another car off? Looks like that is Dion Stahl. Looks like he's had an off as well here at the chicane. And around he goes. Excuse me. And you can see just how hard it is to get these cars under control once these tires overheat. Caution flag flies Sector 3. That is Ivan Brito again. So Ivan struggling to get the car going and under control. And all the while we've got Cameron Weston and Edwards, but Nick Van Gelder is coming with a head of steam, and he is bringing Oleski with him. And this is a lot of fun. These are some drivers here that you don't see running towards the front as much as they used to. Nick, the Season 4 champion, he struggled the last couple of seasons, hasn't found the podium very much, hasn't found a win very much. Cameron Weston Edwards had a podium last week, but that elusive first SRL F1 victory still eludes him. He is led from the get-go after the mishap between Logan Aron and Tim Ventic on the opening lap. Caution flag, Sector 1, 2, and 3. Possible safety car. Should at least be a virtual safety car. Looking to see if we get a note for full course caution. And Brian Power has retired from this session, so that'll be another DNF for him. That'll be his 3rd of the season. So I have to imagine that this is a full course caution, obviously, with a full safety car. Sam Brandt on the live chat saying the Haas boys did their best impression of Jarno Opmeer and Jake Benham. I don't know who those guys are, but you see the wrecked car of Brian Power there off to the side. And it, boop, disappears. I'm sure Sam is referring to some F2 drivers. Coincidentally enough, Logan Aron and Tim Ventick found themselves again 8th and 9th this time. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure the Haas boys, they're probably not going to have a conversation at the end of this, but they're... Oh, Nick looks like he tried to bait Oleski into going into the pits. I guess this is a virtual safety car because I haven't seen the actual safety car out on track. Oh, there it is. As soon as I open my mouth. There it is. So see, Jesper Lempinen and Vincenzo Torri have dived into the pits. Let's see if we can get some tire detail here. So Ivan Brito and Max Mulder have made stops. I think Ivan made his under green. Max has made multiple stops. Jesper and Vincenzo just coming out. Vincenzo making his second stop now. And not really a huge mix-up here on the tire strategy. We see 1st through 10th are all the same tires that they started on. Jesper Lempinen is going to be the first driver down in the 11th position. He's going to be on a fresh set of hards, while Vincenzo has chosen a fresh set of mediums. So Vincenzo will possibly try to run the mediums long enough that he can maybe switch over to the soft tires. So it looks like we are going to wait for a couple of these cars to line up in the queue. So Cameron Weston Edwards leading since, well, essentially turn 2 of lap 1 when Tim Ventick and Logan Aron took each other out. Nick Van Gelder has had quite an exciting race. He was on a tear. He was catching Cameron before the safety car came out. And he was bringing Oleski with him in the AlphaTauri. Christian Dorman with a solid run up into 5th. And Sandro Dulius, 5th position. Robin Herderstagen, good effort by him in the opening laps in 6th. Nicolo Falzarezzi has made his way up into the 7th position after starting deep in the field. And then we've got Logan Aron, followed by Tim Ventick, Team Haas. Turning out to be 2008's Team McLaren. And Senna Haywire, after coming off of his race ban, finds himself in the points in the 10th position. Jesper Lempinen is 11th. Vincenzo Torri, 12th position. Max Mulder has struggled. He had a qualifying ban that he had to serve, and he has not made much headway as he's running in the 13th position. Dion Stahl is currently 14th, and it looks like he's the last driver where essentially, well, I say that, and Ivan Brito is going to be the last driver we're going to be waiting on, as he's 3/4 of a lap behind everybody else. Come on, Ivan. We'll switch to Cameron. I don't think the safety car is coming in this lap. I think it actually has to wait for Ivan Brito to catch up to the queue, which is, at this pace, is going to take a whole nother lap. So Cameron Weston Edwards not running a full schedule this year, but he's participated in more races than not. Had that great podium last week. His first podium in a long, long time. But before that, didn't have much going for him. He finished 12th back at round 5 in San Marino. We've lost Jeremy Pope, which is unfortunate, the young American, looking to put some points on the board. Jeremy Pope did have a 9th place finish back at round 2 in Austria. Was that Australia? I don't remember. I shouldn't use AUS for both tracks. So Ivan's still waiting for him to catch up. This is the speed of, okay, safety car is going to come in this lap. So Ivan finally got close enough to the queue. He's still way off the pace. So Cameron Weston Edwards will become the control car. You see Nick Van Gelder there trying to stay as close to him as possible. Tell you what though, Cameron's a wily old veteran. He's going to pick the most opportune time for him, for sure. And Cam is going to get on the gas. And remember, no passing before the start-finish line. Cameron is backing up the pack, and there, Cameron is gone, gets the jump. Sets the gap. I won't say he caught Nick napping, but he certainly tricked him on that one. And here comes Zaleski to the inside, and he almost thought about it. And you see the two Haas's are battling in the back. That is Tim Ventic to the inside of Nicolo Falzaresi as Logan Aron gets pushed back into 9th. And Herderstagen trying to get back to the inside of Tim. And there's almost a little... Now Falzaresi's on the outside of the Herderstagen. They go side by side. That was very close there. And Senna Haywire has picked up a 3-second time penalty. Meanwhile, while all this is happening, Nick Van Gelder has quickly closed the gap back up to... Cameron Weston Edwards. And it looks like Robin Herderstagen has just gotten around Logan Aron for the 9th position. And Logan is coming back at Robin. He's going to take that 9th position right back. Cameron Weston Edwards all the way down to the pit wall. He's going to make Nick work hard for this. No DRS just yet. Nick backs off. Going to try and cut that corner, run a little bit of a different line. He goes wide, sweeps it back in. He's going to have the inside line. A little bit of a twitch there. Oleski in the back, just seeing what's going to unfold between these two drivers. Nick trying to get that inside line again. Caution flag flies, sector 1 and 2. There's a whole gaggle of cars in that area. I don't know who that's in relation to. Looks like it could be Sandro Dulius is going around. He's dropped now down to 12th. Caution flag, sector 2, that's still in relation to Sandro. He is now dropped all the way down to 12th. Nick tiptoeing it up through the top of the hill. Gets a good run coming out of the corner. Again, Cameron all the way down to the inside is going to make Nick go around the outside, but a crossover move. Nick can't quite get the power down. This is where Cameron thrives. Cameron thrives on these intermediate tracks, especially when DRS is disabled. He becomes a very hard driver to get around. It's a great run coming out of that final corner. Nick couldn't get the power down quite as good, but he's going to have the slipstream. DRS is now enabled this lap. Not open on the Red Bull as you see the Oleski and the AlphaTauri coming in. three-car battle for the lead as we continue to ride along with Nick Van Gelder. Meanwhile, Tim Ventic is starting to come into the fold in the fourth position. You see him behind there, Oleski, as we continue to watch Nick try and find his way around Cameron Weston Edwards. It is now a four-car battle for the top spot. Now, I think we can all say without a doubt Tim Ventic is going to be the fastest driver of this group of four. But you got a wily old veteran in Cameron Weston Edwards. You got a Season 4 champion in Nick Van Gelder. You've got Oleski, who's a championship contender. None of these guys are going to be wanting to let anybody by. And Cameron's still able to hold off Nick. Now, unfortunately, as we come down to the front straightaway, Nick is going to have the DRS. Cameron is going to be a sitting duck for sure. And in fact, Cameron can lose actually all three of these positions. He does not have DRS. He does get a good run coming out of that final corner, but looks like Nick is easily going to be able to take it this time. And surprisingly, Cameron's able to hold him off. And what has happened to Tim? Did Tim dived into the pits? Okay. Tim has dived into the pits. He breaks away from this battle. So Cameron's still able to hold up. I thought for sure Nick would get that position that time. Looks like the McLaren might be a little bit more trimmed out than the Red Bull. Give him some of that top-end speed on the straightaway. And Nick's now starting to get a little bit more wild with his lines. And Oleski in the back trying to abide his time. See if something happens between these two drivers. This is some fantastic defensive driving. DRS open once again. And again, Cameron Weston Edwards. Oh, but he's going to try and push him wide. Nick's trying to get that power down. He can't make it work. Caution flag flies in Sector 2. Looks like that might have been Christian Dorman. Actually, that's Jesper Lempinen is who that is. Looks like he's stuck at the top of the hill. Now, this is the closest Nick has been coming down the front straightaway. Caution flag flies, Sectors 2 and 3. Nick, once again, he's got the DRS. Can he make it work this time? Oh, my goodness, Cameron. Oh, it's very close here. And Nick's finally going to muscle his way through for the top spot. Edwards finally falls back to second. He has led this race since lap 1. And here comes Oleski now. But now Nick is going to be the one that does not have the DRS advantage. And with the way that McLaren has been trimmed out, if Cameron can stick with Nick, Cameron could easily take that top spot back down the front straightaway. He's got to stay within that 1 second range. As we see, Logan Ron has now made it around Nicolo Falzaresi for the 5th position. All the while, Max Mulder has quietly worked his way into the 4th position. As we continue to watch this battle for the top spot here between these three drivers, Max Mulder now coming into the background, just coming into the fray. Still 2.5 seconds back from this battle. And Nick has been able to scoot away just a couple of tenths, but nothing that's going to be putting him outside of that DRS range. And Nick has really tried to spread that gap. He's just a second outside of that. And Cameron's going to dive into the pits. He's going to try and go for the undercut, so that's going to move Oleski into the 2nd position. Oh, excuse me. Nick Van Gelder now has got a lead of 1.5 seconds over Oleski. Max Mulder is currently 3rd. Logan Ron finds himself in the 4th position. And Logan is closing that gap to Max Mulder, and he is bringing Nicolo Falzaresi with him. And it is Team Alfa Romeo. Vincenzo Torri in 6th, Falzaresi in 5th, and they are in hot pursuit of Logan Ron in the Haas. And we've got a caution flag that has flown in Sector 1. That may have been Cameron Weston Edwards coming out of the pits. Cameron has fallen from 1st all the way down to 11th under that pit sequence. So things are going to get shaken up here just a little bit. Got a lot of alternating tire strategies here as we watch this battle here. Three-car battle. We went from a three-car battle for first. We're now watching a three-car battle for the fourth position, with your championship points leader Logan Aron being pursued by Nicolo Falzaresi and Vincenzo Torri. And Nick Van Gelder has dived into the pits. So Nick coming out. I'm going to see where he comes out in relation to Cameron Weston Edwards. And Nick's got him. Nick's got him by a lot. Not saying that was the absolute race for the lead right there, but Cameron Weston Edwards went in trying to get him on the undercut, and Cameron is just now entering that turn 3. Nick is coming out of turn 3 and into turn 4. So Nick has beat him big time under the pit sequence. We know Cameron had a little bit of an issue coming out of the pits. So good on Nick. Logan Aron now up into the 3rd position. And he has closed in on Max Mulder. And you see Oleski is out in front now to the tune of 1.6 seconds. We're watching Max Mulder here, and Logan Aron all over the back of him. We've got a caution flag flies in sector 2. Looks like that might be Ivan Burrito again in the Aston Martin. And Logan Aron just set the fastest lap of this race at a 1:29.81 down the front straightaway. It's now a 2-car breakaway for the 2nd position here. Logan trying to make up for that mishap last week where there was a problem with the lobby. He had a disconnect, along with Vincenzo Torri and Nicolo Falzaresi. So all three of those drivers trying to make up for no points gained last week in any capacity. DRS slot open once again, not close enough to make a move down the back short chute. Power down. See if Logan has the speed this time. He's going to have the DRS advantage. Yep, he's got caught Max in plenty of time. Going to sweep out, dives to the inside. And he's going to outbrake him heading into turn 1. Max not giving up on the fight though. Van Gelder just ran the fastest lap of this race at a 1:20.975. He's in 7th position. Trying to close that gap down to 6th where Christian Dorman is. And Max Mulder hasn't given up on this fight. Max now in the 3rd spot. And it should be noted, Senna Haywire is the only driver to pick up a timing penalty so far as he finds himself running in the 10th position still. And now Max Mulder under threat from Nicolo Falzaresi in the Alfa Romeo. Working lap 18 of 33. We're officially past the halfway mark of this race. As Oleski comes by to start lap 19. And it looks like Logan Aron dives into the pits. So that's going to move Max into 2nd. But here comes Nicolo Falzaresi. I thought he was going to make a dive bomb move there. It was very tight going into turn 1. It's a good run coming through turn 3 and up through turn 4. Yellow flag flies, Sector 2. Looks like that is going to be Ivan Brito once again. Ivan was battling it out with Dion Stahl for the 14th position. Hop on board with Falzarezzi. While these guys have been battling it out, Oleski's been able to pull out a 3.3 second gap over this battle for second. And Falzarezzi's going to dive into the pits. That's going to hand third position over to his teammate, Vincenzo Torri. We'll see if Vincenzo can make a move on Max Mulder. Meanwhile, we've got a battle between former champions. This is Nick Van Gelder and Tim Ventic. And Ventic's going to have the DRS. They make a little bit of contact there, wheel to wheel, as Ventic's going to take the line away. And he's going to dive in and make the pass. 5th position for Ventic. Nick drops to 6th. Logan Aron trying to get that undercut, comes out, but he's going to be behind his teammate. And you see Ivan Brito there in the mix. That is Ivan Brito in the Aston Martin. He is a lap car. 38 seconds behind Dion Stahl. So Nick hasn't completely given up on this battle as he tries to keep pace with Tim Ventic. Caution flag flies, Sector 2, and I believe that is Ivan Brito again. So I think at a certain point during a race, if you're struggling as much as Ivan has, perhaps at some point you should just call it a day. You're now becoming a moving roadblock for other drivers. Sector 2 again, that's Ivan Brito trying to get out of the way of oncoming traffic. And Ivan Brito, 10-second time penalty for exceeding the track limits, trying to get out of the way. And as much as I like Ivan as a person, I think you need to just call it a day there, buddy. Max Mulder is now the leader of this race as Oleski has come into pit. Oleski's going to come back out in 7th position as we continue to watch Nick Van Gelder. It looks like he is now battling with Christian Dorman. Looks like Dorman has gotten around him for the 4th position. Tim Ventic up into 3rd. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead continues. Vincenzo Torri trying to close in. And it looks like Ivan has retired from the session. He should be in the pit lane, I hope. Yes, Ivan has retired from this race. Good on Ivan. The league will certainly appreciate that. I'm sorry that you struggled so much throughout the course of this day. Some days are better than others, for sure. And Vincenzo is going to dive into the pits. Max Mulder is now going to be your leader. Tim Ventic will take over the 2nd spot. Meanwhile, Nick Van Gelder is still battling it out with Christian Dorman and Logan Aron. This is 4th, 5th, and 6th, which will become 3rd, 4th, and 5th as they come down the front straightaway. Nick pulls out, and it's a double DRS for Logan Aron. And Logan's going to dive to the inside, try and get the 2-for-1 deal, and Logan Aron is going to make that work. I knew he had the double DRS. I didn't think he was going to be brave enough to go in there, but he is trying to make up for lost time as he is in hot pursuit. And the Aston Martin of Ivan Brito, I think, even though Ivan retired on the pit lane, the car has come back out. So Logan moves into 3rd in hot pursuit of his teammate Tim Ventic. 2.2 seconds behind. We see Oleski now is getting by Christian Dorman. Dion Stahl picks up a 3-second time penalty. No SRL race is complete without a Dion Stahl 3-second time penalty. So Oleski now is going to find himself battling it out with Nick Van Gelder once again. Van Gelder running in the 4th position. Max Mulder still has yet to pit, and Max dives into the pits now. So this is where it's going to be, folks. Tim Ventic, through this whole sequence, is going to come out and be your leader. 10 laps to go, and these are going to be your final battles for position as Tim gets into first. Logan Aran is in hot pursuit of him. Nick Van Gelder is now trying to hold on to a podium position. He's got Oleski all over the back of him as they head down into turn 1. Max Mulder comes out of the pits right behind Nicolo Falzarezzi in the 7th position. He's going to have the freshest medium tires on track. Christian Dorman running comfortably in the 5th position. And Oleski, ooh, we picked this battle up just right behind, all over the gearbox of Nick Van Gelder. A little bit of aero wash on the front wing of Oleski's car as they go to the top of the hill, but he's going to have the DRS advantage, and he's going to try and get to the inside of Nick. And look at all the dirt and grime on Nick's side pod. Nick has been driving hard today as they go side by side, wheel to wheel next to each other. Oh, and Nick hits the curb, cuts the chicane, lost the front end, and he's going to drop into the 4th position. Looks like he hit that sausage curb and the front end washed out in front of him. Christian Dorman now diving into the pits. He's going to make his final stop for the day. And what has happened here? What did something happen to Tim? Where's Tim? Did Tim pit again, or did he have a quick on-off? He was leading the race. Tim's made one stop, so he's had an on-off, it looks like, at some point. Kind of missed what was going on there as we were watching the battle with Nick, but it looks like Tim Ventic has dropped to 3rd. Oleski has now moved into the 2nd position, and now Nick Van Gelder finds himself in pursuit of Tim Ventic. Meanwhile, Logan Aran has been able to scoot out to a lead of 3.2 seconds. Not sure if there was another incident between the two Haas drivers. I can't imagine I missed something that big. Ivan Brito on the live chat saying that this F1 game is a joke. We know how much he struggled today. Ivan Brito... I will say Ivan is not as bad as a driver as today made him look. He's had some success in the IRL F2 series, which is still F1 cars, but a tier down from their top series. He's had some success in that. He's had some minor success here in SRL over the years. So Ivan struggling to come to grips literally with the game. Just too bad for him. Tim Ventic now seems to he's struggling on those rear tires maybe. He's got 12 laps on those hard tires. Those are the oldest tires on the track with the exception of Jesper Lempinen, who has 18 laps on his hards. And Dion Stahl still running around on 18-lap old mediums. Christian Dorman has come out on soft tires, and I guess he's going to try and run them to the end. So Tim Ventic not out of the woods just yet. Nick Van Gelder still within DRS range. He just fell outside of DRS range. He couldn't get as good of a run through the chicane as Ventic. Ventic now closing in on Oleski. So it looks like maybe Tim had an on-off maybe somewhere on the track. Lost a couple of positions. He's gathered his bearings. Looks like he's starting to make a pursuit now to get second back from Oleski. So your top three on the track right now are also your top three in points. Logan Aron is the championship points leader. Oleski has one more point. He has 103 points versus Tim Ventic's 102. Senna Haywire, who is currently running in the 13th position, has picked up a 3-second time penalty. Going to pretty much be inconsequential. And Sam Brandt pointing out that, yes, Logan Aron was facing the wrong way on lap 1 and is now leading the race along with Tim Ventic in podium position. Logan and Tim proving again why they are the championship winning drivers that they are. And I imagine this has got to be some sort of good news and elation for Sam Brandt, who raced under the Haas banner for so long in SRL. Haas finding the success that Reese March and Sam Brandt couldn't bring it. So that's going to be semi-good news for Sam as a fan. And Tim Ventic now closing in on Oleski as the laps wind down. Half a second gap between second and third. This is the closest battle on track as well. Most of these positions are now, I don't want to say solidified, but... And it should be noted, Cameron Wesson Edwards, who is leading in the early part of this race, has not found the speed after his first pit stop, running in the 8th position. But I think we can all agree that Edwards put in a great effort in the first part of this race during the first stint. Some great defensive driving and a great battle between him and Nick Van Gelder. Van Gelder has clearly come out on top of that battle there, as he is now in 4th, Cameron in 8th. And watching Tim Ventic try and find a way around Oleski. Looks like the AlphaTauri, we had this discussion with Cameron Wesson Edwards earlier. It looks like that AlphaTauri might be a little bit more trimmed out than the Haas. Because even with the DRS, Tim Ventic can't quite get to the back of Oleski's AlphaTauri. A little bit of aero wash on the front end of the Haas. Oleski able to scoot away just a little bit. While all of this is happening, Nicolo Falzaresi has quietly snuck into the 5th position and has broken the 1-second gap to Nick Van Gelder. We've got a caution flag flying in Sector 2. Looks like that might be... I'm not sure who that is. Is that Jesper Lempinen again? Looks like that would have been Jesper who had gone around, and that's now going to become a 3-car battle for the 11th spot. Jesper, Robin Herdersagen, and Senna Haywire. So even though Tim's close to Oleski, he is not able to close that gap and make the pass. He can get but so close, and then the car seems to stall out. Meanwhile, we've got a battle brewing between Nick Van Gelder and Nicolo Falzaresi for the 4th position. And this is where Nick found himself last week in Zandvoort, running in 4th. Tried to grab one extra spot from Max Mulder, ended up going around. Looks like Nick is on the hard tires, Falzaresi's on the mediums. See if Falzaresi's got anything for Van Gelder down the front straightaway. Looks like he's going to have the DRS advantage. Pulls out side by side. And down into turn 1, and Nick Lowe is going to get by Nick. So Van Gelder drops into the 5th position. Meanwhile, Tim Ventic, now the closest he's been in a number of laps. He's now within 0.3 of a second of Oleski. He's all over the gearbox. Logan Aron's lead has been cut down from 3.3 down to 2.6. So Oleski is slowly but surely starting to catch up. He's bringing Tim Ventic with him. Or it might just be Tim is pushing Oleski to get to Epic, the animal Logan Aron. Three laps to go in what has certainly been a amazing race and some really good racing today. This has not been a product. We had one safety car, which is the lowest we've had all season. So far, most of the races this season, we've been averaging 3 safety cars a race. So only one safety car today. Once again, Ventic on the DRS, trying to get by Oleski in the AlphaTauri. It looks like he might be able to get it done this time. Pulls out, down to the inside. Gets it in just in time. Oleski's going to try a crossover move. Runs a little bit of a different line. Going to diamond the quarter a little bit. And Tim's going to get it done, but Oleski hasn't given up on this battle just yet. Caution flag flies sector 3. And it looks like that might be Christian Dorman, possibly? Running in the 10th spot. So Tim Ventic, and now Oleski's the one that's going to have the DRS advantage. We pick up, see those two are battling. Logan's been able to scoot back out to a 3-second lead. So Oleski will have the DRS advantage this time by as they come down the front straightaway. So can Oleski snatch that position back? Ventic gets a good run coming out of the chicane. DRS slot open, and here comes Oleski with a head of steam. Is he going to get close enough before he gets to turn 1? He was pretty far back. He thought about it, but then thought twice. Again, he's going to run a little bit of an alternate line. It's a fine line between wanting to get that slipstream and then getting too much weight over the front end and losing the front end of the car. And Oleski's actually running an interesting line behind Ventic. You see in some of these cases he's about a half a car length off of the back end of Ventic, so trying to get a little bit of a slipstream, but also trying to get a little bit of downforce on the front end so he doesn't completely lose the front end of the car. You see there, he just hits it cut just enough to get the air back onto the front spoiler. A little bit of a twitch there from Ventic as he comes out of the corner. And it's going to be final lap this time by as these two continue to battle it out. And this is where Ventic really is able to get the power down and pull out. Oleski not able to get that car turned right and get the power down quick enough coming out of that chicane. Final lap. Does Oleski have any tricks left up his sleeve for Tim Ventic? This would swing second place in the points for Ventic, and Oleski would drop to 3rd. Oleski with a good run out of the top of the hill. Unfortunately, the straightaway is not going to be long enough for him. Catches up under braking, tries to get the power down. Ventic runs a little wide coming out of that corner. Oleski putting the pressure on. He can get a good run out of here. He can maybe dive it in. No, and he loses the back end, and around goes Oleski. Here comes Nicolo Falzarezzi, and he is going to pick up the third position. Nick Van Gelder's going to pick up fourth. Oh, but Van Gelder gets a 3-second time penalty on the last lap. Is that going to cost him that position? And a 10-second time penalty for Oleski for cutting the corner. And that is not going to affect... Well, it does affect Nick, unfortunately. Unbelievable. So Max Mulder's going to get credited with fourth position because of Nick's 3-second time penalty at the chicane. Vincenzo Torri is sixth. Oleski comes crashing across the line. And he is going to be extremely upset with himself. And okay, that's how you end a race. So Logan Arand with your win. So he will retain his championship points lead. Tim Ventic is going to move into second on points. Looks like Tim has lost his front wing somewhere. Nicolo Falzarezzi sneaks in with a podium position. Max Mulder gets fourth because of Nick Van Gelder's 3-second time penalty at the last chicane of the race. What a wild, wild end. Max Mulder, driver of the day. You know, I am strangely okay with that. Mulder had a qualifying ban, didn't set a time, manages to finish fourth from 17th on the grid, so good on him. So Logan Arand atop the top step of the podium once again. Unofficially be Logan's 5th win of the season. So Logan doesn't finish all of his races, but all of the races he finishes, he's in first. So unofficial results. Going to be Logan Arand, your race winner, followed by Tim Ventic, Nicolo Falzarezzi, Max Mulder in 4th, Nick Van Gelder 5th, Vincenzo Torri is 6th, Cameron Weston Edwards picks up 7th, Sandro Dulius 8th, Christian Dorman is 9th, Oleski falls all the way from 2nd to 10th, Jesper Lempinen is 11th, Senna Haywire with 12th, Robin Herderstegen is 13th, Dion Stahl is 14th, Ivan Brito called it early, Brian Power crashed out along with Jeremy Pope. That is your 17 drivers and your unofficial results for today's race. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. Check us out on Instagram. Be sure to comment there as well. And check us out when we do the Project Cars GT3 Championship. We'll be running another race for that very soon. And what an exciting race for today's event. I'm KAMIKAZE-FOX. This has been SRL F1 2022 on the PS platform, PlayStation platform. And we will see all of you fine folks in the next round.